Deputy Commissioner DeMontis. Good afternoon, Mr. Secretary, Dr. Bhattacharya, Governor, Speaker, the many Maha moms and the kids here supporting the effort. Thank you for being here. Thank you. That's great. Today, the FDA is taking action to remove petroleum-based food dyes from the U.S. food supply and from medications. For the last 50 years, American children have increasingly been living in a toxic soup of synthetic chemicals. The scientific community has conducted a number of studies raising concerns about the correlation between petroleum-based synthetic dyes and several health conditions, such as attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, obesity, diabetes, insulin resistance, cancer, genomic disruption, GI issues, as I've seen in the hospital, and allergic reactions. For example, this Lancet study conducted a randomized, double-blinded, placebo-controlled study on food dyes and concluded that artificial colors in the diet, quote, result in increased hyperactivity. So why are we taking a gamble? Parents, moms and dads, have also tried to raise attention to the issue. Some parents have observed that these chemicals cause hyperactivity and even aggressive behavior, and that it subsides when the chemicals are removed from the diet of the child, and sometimes even reoccurs when those petroleum-based chemical dyes are reintroduced. As I know from my experience taking care of children as a doctor, you have to always listen to the mom. Other studies have found that artificial colors that create vibrant colors mess with the child's developing brain to make ultra-processed foods more attractive, even when the child already feels full. These studies have associated food colors directly with obesity and diabetes. While America's children are sick and suffering, 41% of children have at least one health condition, and 1 in 5 are on medication. The answer is not more Ozempic, more ADHD medication, and more antidepressants. There's a role for those medications, but we have to look at underlying root causes. The F in FDA stands for food. Now, there's no one ingredient that accounts for the child chronic disease epidemic. And let's be honest, taking petroleum-based food dyes out of the food supply is not a silver bullet that will instantly make America's children healthy. But it is one important step. This administration is not interested in continuing down the path of doing the same old things as we watch our nation's children get sicker. We need fresh, new approaches. Cancer and diabetes in young people is going up at an alarming rate, and nobody seems to know why. We have to turn our attention to underlying causes, such as chemicals and toxins that children are exposed to, not just more insulin and chemotherapy. And let's not forget that the best way to lower drug prices is to stop taking drugs we don't need. 30 states concerned about this very issue have introduced bills or laws with a patchwork of standards for food companies. So the food industry, which has many good people, has asked for clarity. So today the FDA is taking the following steps. Number one, establishing a national standard and timeline for the food industry to transition from petroleum-based food dyes to natural alternatives. Number two, initiating a process to revoke authorization of synthetic food colorings, including those not in production, namely citrus red number 2 and orange B, within the coming weeks. Number three, taking steps to eliminate the remaining 6 synthetic dyes on the market from the U.S. food supply, specifically red dye number 40, yellow dye number 5, yellow dye number 6, blue dye number 1, blue dye number 2, and green dye number 3 by the end of next year. We are also requesting food companies to remove red dye number 3 sooner than the 2027-2028 deadline previously announced. These steps that we are taking means that the FDA is effectively removing all petroleum-based food dyes from the U.S. food supply. For companies that are currently using petroleum-based red dye, try watermelon juice. Or beet juice. For companies currently combining petroleum-based yellow chemical and red dyes together, try carrot juice. The FDA is also announcing plans today to authorize 4 additional natural color additives using natural ingredients in the coming weeks, while also accelerating the review and approval of other natural ingredient colors. I want to take a moment to thank America's food manufacturers. Many have been extremely cooperative. There are many good people in food manufacturing delivering on the needs of the American public. And they have done exactly what we have asked them to do. 100 years ago, we asked them to focus on mass food production to solve food insecurity. Now, given our child chronic disease epidemic and enormous suffering and cost that has ensued, we have to come together to address the new problem. That's right, we have to come together. If we can get beyond the tribalism in our society, rampant in our culture, we will realize that we all want the same things. Republican, Democrat, and independent moms showed up in high numbers to vote for President Trump on this very issue that Secretary Kennedy has championed. Moms across America have spoken, and they want more honesty and humility from our nation's healthcare leaders. And if we're being honest, ADHD is not a genetic problem, and our obesity epidemic is not a willpower problem. It's something that adults have done to children. I was reading a New England Journal of Medicine article recently, came out in January, referring to the chronic disease epidemic in children, specifically infertility, diabetes, obesity, attention deficit disorder, and many other health problems. And it referred to that group of problems with an interesting term. It called them non-communicable diseases of children. Non-communicable diseases. Well, actually, they are communicable. But kids are not getting these diseases from viruses or bacteria. They're getting them from using their phones and ultra-processed foods and chemicals and toxins that we have introduced into their world. Gandhi once said, the true mark of a society can be found in how it treats its most vulnerable members, including children. Secretary Kennedy has said that he would instruct the FDA to examine concerning ingredients in the nation's food supply, and today we are delivering on that promise. To be clear, the transition from petroleum-based food dyes to natural ingredient food dyes will not increase food prices. We know that from other countries that have already made the transition. It's not an opinion. Today's announcement fulfills the administration's promise to use both gold standard science and common sense. For the last 50 years, we have been running one of the largest uncontrolled scientific experiments in the world on our nation's children without their consent. And today, we are removing these petroleum-based chemicals from their food supply. In summary, we are simply asking American food companies to replace petroleum-based food dyes with natural ingredients for American children, just as they already do for children in other countries. American children deserve good health. Thank you.